Well, hello and welcome back. Thanks for coming back. Where am I? Sitting on my little hillside up in Taller. We had a bit of a storm last night, but look, second week of December, through the rooftops, that's the blue Mediterranean Sea. So normality has returned again to the island of love. Of course, in December, you can get out a little bit chopsy-mopsy with the weather, isn't it? It's the way it is all over the world. So, what should we talk about today? I think we will talk about a tricky subject. We'll talk about the subject of the average pay, average salaries in Cyprus. And I'm probably going to get an awful lot of criticism and probably going to get arrested or deported or something like that, because I think it's the same all over the world, isn't it? When we talk about what do people earn, there's this government statistic that tells you that, for example, in Cyprus, apparently every man, woman and dog and cat earns well over €2,000 a month. That's not true, not true at all. I think the actual figures are that a woman earns 2,300 and a man earns 2,600. And the government is more concerned and very upset that women earn less than men, which, right, correct, that's correct, isn't it? In the society of today, anywhere in the world, a man and a woman doing the same job should probably earn the same amount of money. And that's the bit that they're very concerned about. And they come up with these statistics that that's what a woman earns, 2,300, and a man earns 2,500 or thereabouts. But that's not actually true. Obviously, there are many women, many men who are earning 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 or more every single month. But the majority of women, the majority of men that you will see on your daily travels when you're in and around Cyprus, the people you come into contact with in department stores, supermarkets, restaurants, bars, those kind of places. So normal people, isn't it? Most of them are earning around about, well, let's say in a supermarket, they'll probably be earning somewhere between 900 and 1,100. Yep, you heard me correctly. So full-time in a supermarket, 900 to 1,100, depending on what job that you're doing. The management, obviously, will be paid pro rata a bit more. But again, I doubt if a manager of a supermarket is earning anywhere near €2,000. Well, not the people I know anyway, when I ask them. If we talk about bars and restaurants, most of the people that you come into contact in your bar, in your restaurant, will be earning somewhere around about 1,100-ish euros. Maybe the manager earns 1,500, somewhere around there. And remember, when we're talking about bars and restaurants or those kind of businesses, when you talk to someone and when they tell you what they earn, they will be including their tips into that as well, because I don't like to say this, but for want of a better word, they're ashamed of what they earn, if you understand me. I'm not criticising anybody. So they include what they get for tips in their salary, which, of course, is not actually their salary, is it? So, anyway, this is not, excuse me, a bit of a cold. This is not obviously unique to Cyprus. This is something that's the same all over the world, isn't it? Where governments come up with statistics and tell you what people earn, and then they base their salaries on that figure, and they always earn an awful lot more. Anyway, let's have a little slurp on the coffee. Coffee Mead today, that's where we've been. Good coffee shop, by the way. Anyway, back to salaries. So I'm talking about salaries of normal people, isn't it? Normal people. People who you come into contact when you walk in to have a haircut, people working in the supermarket, people packing your bags, those kind of people. Nurses, those kind of people. They earn an awful lot less than you think that they do. And perhaps that's why sometimes when you go into a shop, people are not really bothered about serving you. Perhaps they feel they don't get paid enough money. I don't know. But it's a difficult subject. And like I say, with no disrespect to the locals, if one or two of them watch me now, they will probably want to string me up from that tree. Yeah, it's high enough. Because people don't like it when you talk about these taboo subjects, don't they? And again, it's a peculiarity, same in the UK where I'm from. we understand again that, you know, people who work in lesser jobs earn not that much money. It's the high flyers that earn these big salaries, isn't it? So it's a difficult topic, and I'm trying to be very careful as to what I say. I mean, I've worked in humdrum jobs in the past, so I understand what it's like, and I'm not trying to insult anybody. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm actually trying to insult the employer and, of course, the government and their statistics, because even their own employees, government employees, in the, should we call it, lower ranks, don't earn anywhere near the figure that they say. But of course, the get out clause is the average. So, for example, you know, road sweepers. I had a friend of mine who was a road sweeper in the UK, and he had a good job, and then he was made redundant, and then he got himself a job as a road sweeper. Said he should have done it all his life. It was the easiest job in the world. And when he did retire, he's got a bit older than me, he got a good pension from his original job, but he also got a good pension from being a road sweeper. So these are some of the things that are good on the government jobs, aren't they? Government jobs, if you work in the civil service, as we would say. The pensions often can be quite good, although that is changing, isn't it? Except if you are a high-ranking politician. Anyway, rant over. Lord Andy, Lady Ness in downtown Shropshire. Hopefully the weather's not too bad. I'd like to say a big thank you to Lord Lee and Lady Vicky. They've jetted back to Bristol in the early hours of the night, and hopefully the storm has not caused too many troubles for you guys in the UK. Hopefully it's calmed down a little bit, because like I say, we had a storm last night. It was pretty dramatic, and our kitten, who's not that much of a kitten anymore, but she was well, a little bit scared, should we say. Often, well, it's her first winter, isn't it? So you get scared. So anyway, let's get back to talking about pay, and let's get back to talking about you guys. You know, let's say expats. Let's say expats that come to Cyprus who have retired, or, you know, have enough money so they don't need to work, but then they decide to go and earn a bit of pin money. Okay, that's what we'll call it, isn't it? Pin money. Whether they're doing it on the side for cash, or whether they're doing it legitimately and paying social insurance and those kind of things. If you were to go and get a job, let's say you hung out around Coral Bay, and let's say you went to work in one of the bars, one of the restaurants there, and let's say you worked full-time. Let's say they said to you, yep, you can work full-time, so we want you from 9 o'clock in the morning until we close. Well, okay, that's a bit long. They'd probably say from 9 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock, and then the other shift would probably be from, say, 1 o'clock until they close at, let's say, 12. And you would be expected to work 6 days, not 5, 6 days a week. And your monthly salary, I think, if you're lucky, would be €1,200 a month. Of course, there'd be tips on top, but your salary would be €1,200 a month. And that's what it would be. Let's say you went and worked as a pool cleaner in and around Tallaght, in and around Paya, and you worked for a company that was employing you. So you would be expected to maintain somewhere around about 15 pools on a monthly basis. So that's 2 trips to each pool on a schedule, and any other problems that come on. Now, I'm not saying it's the hardest job in the world, but it's not an easy job either. Getting the chemical balance and all those kind of things is quite complicated. And again, you would earn around about 1,100-ish euros, in some cases a little bit less. Let's say you were doing painting and decorating for a little business that was employing 2 or 3 people to go out and do painting and decorating. That's in my mind at the moment, because we're painting the Marika and Me Lounge bar. So you would get paid somewhere around about 1,000, maybe a good 1,000, so let's say 1,100, 1,200, or maybe a bad 1,000, and let's say 850 to 900. Now, if you've come from the UK, if you've come from Germany, France, and you are, shall we say, semi-retired, the salary perhaps is not that important to you. It's just getting out and about and mixing and having some pin money, and of course it's subsidising you, because, you know, 800, 900 euros a month in your back pocket is not too bad if you've got a couple of thousand coming in every month as well. Then of course you're on almost 3,000 euros. So of course this is another little statistic that's thrown into the mix. So there's a lot of foreigners, and I mean a lot of foreigners, who set up their company in Cyprus and then of course declare their income in Cyprus. So of course, if you're declaring an income of 100,000 euros, 150,000 euros, when we break that down monthly, of course, you're on 10, 15,000 a month. So of course this pushes up that statistic, doesn't it? And of course, if you have a little business in Cyprus, and let's say you're lucky enough to make a good profit and you're paying yourself 5,000 euros, and let's say you've got 4 staff and you're paying them 1,000 euros each a month, well, if we add up 1, 1, 1, 1, and then your 5,000, we've got 9,000 a month, haven't we? And then if we divide that by 5, we've got, knocking on the door of 2,000 euros a month. If we employ another member of staff at 1,000, haven't we? And do the maths, that means all of the people on average would be earning 2,000 euros a month. But of course, they're not, and you're earning a lot more. But these are the way statistics work all over the world, aren't they? All I'm trying to say is, and I'm not trying to poo-poo Cyprus, and I'm not trying to put people off Cyprus, because the majority of people who come to Cyprus are, in my experience, our subscriber base are retired. The people who are going to come to our bar are retired or semi-retired. So a lot of those people will look to do a little job because they're bored and they want to get out and about. So if they can work not too hard and get 800, 900, 1,000 euros a month, they're quite happy, shall we say. But of course, if you are some of the other nationalities, let's say you're coming from Nepal or Bangladesh, these kind of places, these guys work very, very hard. And in general, they get paid not that much money. And in general, we understand that in their country, they wouldn't earn anywhere near 1,000 euros. But of course, their cost of living in their country is much lower as well. So I'm about to get shot on what I'm about to say now, I understand that. So they come here and they work, and they will work for 800, 900 euros a month. And to be honest, not treated that well. I'm not saying all employers will treat them badly, but in general, they're treated pretty badly. So some of those people are watching me now and probably hunting me down, and they'll be sitting up in Tala next time I come up. Anyway, that's the subject for today, the average salaries in Cyprus. So don't believe everything that you read on the Cyprus Mail. If you read that one, that's the online version of the Cyprus Mail newspaper. Hope you like this. But like I was saying, lots of things in Cyprus are cheaper, aren't they? So, if you smoke, I know you shouldn't smoke, but if you do, and a lot of people do, which is good for the government, because if we didn't, they'd have to find another way to tax us. So we do. So a pack of those, I've told you before, is €6.50 for 5 of them. Pack of cigarettes is €5, sorry. I remember when they were €2 when I first came to Cyprus, and they were £10-ish in the UK then. So that was in 2008. And now they are, £15 a pack, somewhere around there. But of course, that's not the most expensive place to buy a pack of cigarettes, is it? Belgium or something like that. Beer is cheaper, coffee is cheaper. Actually, at the moment, fuel for your car is a bit cheaper. And that one's, I know I rant on and I go off on tangents because things fascinate me. I always find I see it as a joke. I always see politics as a joke. I always see everything as a joke. I don't argue with politics. I just see an anomaly, an irony that I think a lot of people see, but then a lot of people don't see, and politicians don't see it at all. So that's what I always pick on, politics and politicians. And but I remember when cigarettes were just over €2 when I first arrived here, and I remember we arrived and we bought a carton of cigarettes and smoked them like crazy because they were so cheap. But like I say, politicians apparently don't want us to smoke, do they? They say it's terrible and we should all stop smoking. But if we did, what would they do for duty? Same with petrol, isn't it? Petrol at the moment in Cyprus is slightly cheaper than it is in the UK, and I think it's on a parity with most of Europe. I think some parts like Belgium are more expensive, but of course their salaries are much higher. But let's talk about that one for a moment, that little rant, because I remember in the pandemic, the Cyprus government so kindly decided to cap a litre of fuel at €2. And it never got to €2, it only ever got to 1.99, which is €2. But they passed a bill that they were going to cap it, that it would not, would not be allowed to go over €2 per litre. The petrochemical companies were terrible people, and the transportation companies were terrible people, forcing the people to pay €2 per litre for fuel. So they capped it at €2. But of course, what they forgot to tell people, and most people know this but don't think of it, that in that €2, around €1.50 is tax that they're getting. So how kind of them to cap it at €2 is what I'm saying. How kind of them. Perhaps they wanted to know they're only going to ever get €1.50 from every €2 of ours. I don't know. Anyway, rant over. I'm going to say thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the like, smash that subscribe. Perhaps keep coming back for, my lunacy as I sit on a hillside in Tallaght with a cigar and a coffee, paying tax, obviously. But I get to look at that view, which I understand that you guys don't. So I'm going to let you see it for a while. Now, if you want to keep the channel afloat and keep me in coffees, why not go and hunt me down on the Buy Me a Coffee platform. Google Marika and me Buy Me a Coffee. Up will come our landing page. Of course, you can choose to read a little bit more about us. And fingers crossed, hopefully, you might consider to gift us a coffee or two. You can also join us as a superstar member. I'd like to say a big shout out and a thank you to Lady Kerry and of course Lord Tony, Sir Richard, Lady Julie of the Nash, Lady Kirstine. The list goes on and on. We do thank you very, very much indeed from the bottom of our two hearts. Feast your eyes and digest. That's the view from uptown Tallaght over the rooftops straight out into the blue Mediterranean Sea. Thanks for watching.